Hi there, and welcome to the Q Today show for June the 1st to June the 5th. I'm Alison Duddy, one of your hosts for this program.
And I'm Nate Bello, filling in for Mitch Vick.
Thanks, Nate. So coming up later in the program, we will have Susan MacNeil here from the Seniors Advocacy Service to join us for a discussion on Access Awareness Day coming up this weekend.
Mm-hmm. And before we get into the news, just to remind you, we appreciate you watching Q Today, and our program runs Tuesday to Friday or Friday to Tuesday, depending when you're watching, at 8 a.m., 5 p.m., and 10 p.m.
All right, so if you have any comments on the program, feel free to email us at qcatv.ca. And if you'd like any information on how to sponsor us, you can give Nate here a call at 992-3650. And of course, as always, we'd like to thank the Quesnel Caribou Observer for providing some of the news stories that we cover. And we do just give the highlights. So if you want,
they're great there. I just want to say that because we do thank them every program. But you know, Autumn and Annie Gallant, they're always there. They send us some pictures that we could show you. And the main thing is to, if they want the whole story, pick up the paper.
Pick up your own paper. That's right.
Okay. So time for the news.
All right. Over to Nate.
Thank you. Observations from China. Well, Coralie Oakes, a former counselor and the general manager of the Quesnel Chamber of Commerce, wrote an interesting story about the trip that some of our leaders, community leaders, took to China recently. She says the trip was professionally probably one of the most challenging things she has done, and her stereotypes of China have been shattered. Besides giving a journal of the people that she met, which included the politicians, educators, business people, she also basically said she was awestruck by the experience. She felt that China was a country of such great grandeur. She extolled the culture of China. The article goes through all the various things that she saw. At the same time, she said that the one city in particular, Xiamen, was the most civilized city in China. Now, I'm not sure how she knows that, but anyway, that's a pretty large judgment, but suffice it to say she was impressed and she enjoyed the experience. In reading the article, it sounded like China was an entrepreneurial system, entrepreneurial dream with a large desire to get Canada's natural resources, that's for sure. And so whether it be in Canada's interests to really go and sell more natural resources to them, only time will tell. But from a business point of view, it means a lot of revenue coming into Canada. We need a little bit more detail. Apparently, one Chinese leader that they met said that, okay, I'm going to open up a business in Quesnel. So we'll see, and apparently he's setting up some people over in July. So we'll see what happened. What will happen? The only thing I would like to say is that it's great to meet others. When I was mayor, I really did enjoy that relationship with Shirari, Japan. But it is my understanding that the Chinese picked up the tab from Vancouver onward. Because some people have the mistaken impression that the city paid for all that, and that's not true. But what needs to be proven is the worth of this trip beyond good feelings. I don't want to see Canadians be seen as gullible people who are going, oh wow, isn't this wonderful? This is so wonderful. This is so great. We need to develop relationships, but we can't sell the farm. And it's not outside our competence to analyze the worth of these visits and not just be in awe of them.
That's right. Thanks for that, Nate.
Okay, and Quesnel High School.
Yes, Danica Hebert wrote an article in this week's Observer on a group of former Quesnel High School students who are gearing up for their 5th reunion. This is the class of 1952, Nate.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a while back. So in past years, the class of 52 was joined by the classes of 51 and 53, but this year's gathering is going to encompass students from the late 40s and early 50s as well. This is all according to event organizer Jerry Glassford. He also explained that the first reunion dated back to the late 80s, early 90s, But beginning in 1997 and every 5 years thereafter, the graduates who wanted to get together actually put together an official reunion. So this year's reunion is going to be taking place at the Legion Hall. That's going to be June the 9th and June the 10th. And it's going to include a buffet dinner and a meet and greet on the Saturday night. They're also going to have readings by Gary Bazan, who has recently released a book of short stories, and a slideshow of photographs from Gordon Perry. Glassford thinks it's important to share these memories. He said in the article, "We're all getting older, and there are parts of the history of Quesnel and District to be found in this group that might soon be lost," which would definitely be a shame. He said also that we've lived the lives of our youth here, and now we're basking in the late afternoon sunshine of our golden years. So what a neat story. The class of 1952, yeah. I can't imagine.
Wow.
Good for them.
52, what did you say? That's 60 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Wow. That's,
yeah.
Okay, I was 4 years old.
And it also said in the article, I think they said there's 51 participants this year, but it's not all graduates. He said that's spouses a little misleading because there's spouses and that kind of thing too. But that's a pretty darn good turnout for the class of 52.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Okay, some quick council clipping shorts. First of all, the 2012 strategic plan was adopted by the City Council in their last meeting, and I think this is important. You know, sometimes you look at plans and you think, oh boy, that's boring, look at that. I can't be bothered with reading that whole thing. But they did enunciate a number of specific places that they want to move the city. So when you're critiquing the city and you're saying, oh, they don't do this, or they don't do that, this is what they say they're going to do. You could use that to make up your own personal report card. So some of the things they want to talk about is, they want to accomplish is sustainability in all their planning, community health and safety, financial stability of the corporation, economic diversification, and I just heard somebody just yesterday talk about, are we diversified enough? I mean, are we too dependent on the mills? And of course, that is a very key goal that any city should have. Infrastructure redevelopment, environmental stewardship, and governance. You know, and so when you're, as I said, when you're critiquing, take a look at those indices and see, well, are they making progress on that or not? And a few other things they were doing. They are lobbying the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to make sure that the infrastructure is funded by the senior governments, and so they're putting a resolution to that end, and that's our traditional resolution that we put in there, because we never believe that the federal or provincial, for that matter, fund us sufficiently. They also made a deal with the Rocky Mountaineer. Do you know that Rocky Mountaineer is now in its, I think, its 7th season in Quesnel, and they just made a 5-year lease to the Rocky Mountaineer to use the train station. And finally, I think they made a new category for permissive tax exemptions for lands owned by nonprofit organizations for development of affordable housing. And that's sort of something to saying that, hey, maybe that is a way that the city can support groups who want to create affordable housing in our city by not taxing them. So, but every case will be judged individually, but at least there's a new category for it. So basically that's what's happening in the city.
All right.
Clean Air Day, June 6th.
Thanks, Nate. So the Gold Pan City Dance Studio has an exciting lineup of summer dance programs in their new studio on Anderson Drive. There's quite a few. I'm going to run through them with you. Instructor Sherry Gosselin's All of Me program is for 4 to 6-year-olds. It's going to run Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 1 to 3 p.m. starting on July the 3rd. The first part of that class is filled with literature-based activities and a hands-on art project, and the second part of the class explores music and promotes creativity through creative dance. For students 7 to 9 years old, Gosselin brings music and movement, where props, games, repetition of movement, special awareness, and self-expression are all used to explore movement in a fun and creative class. And that class runs Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday also from 3:15 to 4:15. That's starting on July the 3rd. Now, Lisa Sars has an extensive experience in yoga and dance, and she's bringing her yoga skills to classes for children between the ages of 3 and 9. Her first class, Yoga Dance, is designed for 7 to 9-year-olds with class activities demonstrating the benefits to all aspects of movement through yoga. Now, a large portion of that class time is devoted to the creative aspects of dance, where the children are given freedom to create movement, vocabulary, improvise, and play together in groups. This class runs Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m., August 6th to 10th. Now, SARS is also offering butterfly feet for children 3 to 4 years of age and 5 to 6 years of age. This class is more about having fun and introducing young children to learning to listen to the teacher and then trying it for themselves. It runs Monday to Friday, August 6th to 10th, and it didn't have time, so if you want the time, you can get a hold of the studio for that one. And finally, the Gulpan City Dance director, Sandy Herman, is running an introduction to tap dance, which allows students to see if they might want to pursue tap in the fall. And that class is going to run Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 3:15 to 4:15 p.m. and that's going to be June the 19th to 21st and June 26th to 28th. So all of these classes are open to boys and girls, and you can register by dropping by Gulpan City Dance Studio. They're at 352 Anderson Drive. They are open Monday, Wednesday, Thursday from 2 to 6 p.m. or Saturday 10 to 1, and you need to get registered before June the 9th.
You know, dance is so much fun. It reminds me of my days, grade 1, dressed as a clown. Big little thing on top of my head, you know, one of those.
Did you have the big red nose?
Big red nose, and we were supposed to do a somersault, but the big hat got in the way. So they said, okay, those who can't do the somersault, just bend over. It's okay. Oh, forget it. That was the end of my dancing career.
Oh, Nate.
But
I never took dance, but I enjoy the art. I like watching dance.
They're very enthusiastic here, and very talented, Sandy Herman, and they really, I attended some of their things, and they are very, it's really fun just to be there and watch them.
Yeah. Well, they've got lots of classes going on for the kids this summer, so
okay,
should be
thank
good.
you.
You're welcome.
And now from that talent of dancing to writing, Susan Smith-Josephy was here a few weeks ago, and we interviewed her on her book, Lillian Alling, The Journey Home, about the woman who in 1928-29 traveled across Canada and Alaska in search of her home in Siberia. Well, she wrote an article about another writer, and whose name is Barbara Raymond. And Barbara was at the Rich Bar Nursery last Saturday, and she was promoting her book, The Northern Gardener, Perennials That Survive and Thrive. So the book focuses on plants which will thrive here in zones 2 to 4. I think that's great, because a lot of times you get things from the south, zones 5, 6, and all that. They won't do well here. So this is focused right on our climate, right in Quesnel and northern British Columbia. Another neat point is that Barbara doesn't want to fight with her plants. In other words, she doesn't make these tomatoes grow if they don't want to grow. If it's not their place, they don't want to be up here in the north, forget it. And she works with the ones that will survive here. And finally, the last quote that she said, I love the quote, is she was speaking on gardening in general, and she said, "It's always a mystery and a joy if we let it be." And we're doing a little bit of gardening at our place. Nothing fancy. Perennials, that's a thing.
Yeah, the way to go.
But you know, just let it be. There's your garden. Enjoy it. You don't have to make it into something that is artificial.
Good point. Thanks, Nate. Okay. I have tried my hand at gardening, but unfortunately, there's too many deer around my house. All my plants got eaten. All my nice red peppers got eaten, lock, stock, and barrel. So. And
you don't have a rifle.
I don't. And I couldn't do that anyways, Nate. There's no way. Okay. I'm too much of an animal lover. But I'm thinking about maybe a greenhouse and getting into some gardening, because I really do. Yeah. I enjoy watching things grow.
Dirt's good.
Yeah. You like dirt.
Yeah.
Spend a few days in my seat, then Nate. You'll get dirty.
Yeah.
All right, so moving along. The Quesnel and District Leisure Services put out a news release this week announcing that they're going to be hosting a series of art events this summer. The first is Artists in the Atrium. It's going to take place this Saturday, June the 2nd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Quesnel Atrium at the Quesnel and District Arts and Rec Center. Local artists will be demonstrating technique and selling their creations with tables set up for the public to come in and try out their hand at a variety of different, with a variety of different art materials. Now, the next event that's going to be taking place is the ever-popular Artists in the Market. That's going to happen at the Quesnel's Farmers Market on July the 7th. Elizabeth Waldorf is the Arts Program Coordinator at the Arts and Rec Center, and she said that people enjoy Artists in the Market each summer and ask for more events like it. So this year they are trying to come up with one event a month at different locations. And to that end, Artists at Skyfest is going to be taking place August the 4th at the Quesnel Regional Airport, so that you can come out and catch some of the Skyfest activities and see some local artists there as well. The art gallery is also going to have a new show called On the Way, open and displaying recent photography by Daniel Pfister. And if you are an artist and you are wishing to participate in Artists in the Market or Artists at Skyfest, you can contact the Arts Office at 991-4013. So if you're into art, there's lots of stuff happening this summer to get you out there and into that world.
My yellow shirt today. Because I felt so summery, being June 1st and everything. It's so wonderful out there, and we've had a great start, so hey, these events will be fun to get involved in.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've got some stuff from the rodeo circuit for the little guys. Jonas Gagnon took some great photos of the May-long weekend rodeo at Alex Fraser Park. They had 125 competitors from both northern and southern regions of the province, and they all wanted to make their mark on the circuit. And by all accounts, the organizers did a fantastic job, and the little cowboys and cowgirls had great fun. And I just want to shout out means like congratulations. Huh?
You bet.
Okay, here's a shout out to some of the winners from Quesnel. Congratulations to Lane Cork, Brooke Wills, Savannah Watson, Montagna Ems, Mackenzie Wills, Tavis Roach, Levi Cahoose, and Rochelle Hancock. That's a shout out to them.
All right, good job,
yeah.
Nate. So also in rodeo, Clinton hosted the May Ball last weekend, but this ball, as Observer reporter Jonas Gagnon reported, did without dresses, velvet dancing shoes, and marble dancing floors, and replaced that in favor of jeans, cowboy boots, and the turned earth of a rodeo arena. Quite the ball. Steve Homan, he's been having a great season so far. He split second and third place in bareback on Bandit with Jared Marshall of Prince George. In tie-down roping, Clayton Honeybrown took second place, while Mariah Mannering took third in junior barrel racing. Junior steer riding saw Quesnel native Clay Waterhouse split first and second with Craig Loring of Clinton. Clay's been having a really good season so far too. And Pee-wee barrel racing, yay, my little nephew came third place in the Pee-wees, and Tyler Cherry took first place. So a couple of locals in the Pee-wee group, which is awesome. So great results for our local cowboys and cowgirls. And Nate, before we move on, I would just like to make a correction to something that I made on our last show.
Wrong. Okay.
I actually am going to admit that I made a mistake on TV, so I did. On our last program, I commented about the Derby Girl action that took place last weekend, their May Massacre. And when I was describing the scoring system to Ron, I said that there were 2 jammers, which are the girls with the stars on their hat trying to get through the pack. And I said that there were 5 girls per team in the pack, which would be a total of 10. But I was mistaken. There are 2 jammers, and there are 4 pack members from each team. So a total of 10 players on the oval at one time.
Okay, so we have it straight now for people keeping score at home.
That's
How many
right.
people are there?
Well, I just wanted, I wanted to make sure that I was correct, and that I'm doing our Gold Pain City Derby Girls justice and getting the word out correctly for them, of course.
That's right. You know, and I'm going to propose something.
What's that?
I'm going to propose that Q Today adopts the Gold Plain City Derby Girls as their official team.
Our official sports team at Q Today?
I mean, I love all the sports teams, but the Gold Plain City Derby Girls, I think they should be promoted by us.
I like that idea.
Okay.
And I don't have a problem. I know some of the girls, and actually another little update on that story too, Willow Aford, who is AKA Willow Mina, on the team. She broke her leg during the bout last weekend, and I understand that she had surgery a couple of days ago and is recovering at home for a little while until they can put the cast on. So quite an injury. I think she had some ligament damage also. So this isn't just sport for the faint of heart. Like, it's definitely, there's aggression there, and you know, the chance for something like that to happen, unfortunately.
They're going to take over from hockey one year.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is our photo of the day. We get some great photos from Dave Sutton, as you probably know, and he was at the Relay for Life at Laborde Park. He spent some time taking in the event, sent us these great pictures, and of course we'd like to thank Dave for sending these to us. As always, great pictures. I heard it was, of course, it was a great event. We don't know how much money was raised yet, but last year I think it was 160,000 or something like that. So we'll see.
I think it was, yeah.
Probably higher than that. So congratulations, Relay for Life, and thanks, Dave.
You bet. And as soon as we do get a number, we'll definitely let you know.
Right.
So we've got more photo news. It's time for another Photo of the Week winner. This week's winner is Laura Hobbs, and she spent some time in Barkerville recently and captured this magnificent photo of a Barkerville resident starting her fire in the stove in the morning. So thanks to a sponsorship from the Lung Association of BC, Ms. Hobbs will receive a copy of our great Golf Privilege book that we've been showing you every show. And of course, we have mentioned it has golf courses in it from all over BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, some in Washington State. It normally sells for $35. So it's a great little book with both of our Quesnel courses included. And we are going to be making another draw next week and every week until the end of June, Nate. And so get your local photos to us at Q Today at qcatv.ca and get entered to win.
Right. Okay.
You can't win if you don't play.
No, that's right. I think we've given out about 6 books, and I think we got about 4 to go.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, next up it's time to look at the community calendar, and then when we return we'll be with Susan MacNeil to talk about Access Awareness Day and accessibility issues. Okay, we moved over to the couch here, and we're with Susan MacNeil. Hi, Susan.
Hello, Nate.
We're
Susan. Alison.
Alison, you and I were part of QMAG, Quesnel Media Access Group, but we're here to talk a little bit about this weekend. June 2nd, actually, is Access Awareness Day. And on a very personal level, it's important that we become aware of what's happening in our community and why is it important to deal with accessibility issues. Alison, you've dealt with it for a while now.
Almost 25 years, Nate. Later this year, it'll be my quarter century anniversary. I can't even believe that. Yes. Wow. Yes.
So we want to make sure that people out in the Quesnel area understand that it's an issue here. Susan, you've been working with accessibility issues in a very wide manner, right? With the Seniors Advocacy Group, as well as other things you're involved in.
Yes, we have actually, Nate. Just to elaborate a little bit, we offer the accessibility parking permit program through our office, the Seniors Advocacy Service on Reed Street. We've also been fortunate enough to start a accessibility golf tournament, which Alison has played in, and that's brought a focus to our community that even though you have mobility restrictions, that you're certainly welcome on any of our golf courses. So Alison, would you care to elaborate a little bit about how you found the golf tournament when you got back on the greens?
Well, I think you both know that I used to be a golfer before I was in this wheelchair, and so I hadn't been on a golf course in many years before participating in the tournament, and it was, I can't even explain, it was so much fun to be able to get out there and hit balls again and be included with that group of people. It was fantastic. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself.
So accessibility removes barriers to that people face in physical mobility, as well as some other issues, other ways of being denied inclusion. Do you feel that over the past few years you've seen an improvement in terms of access in our community?
In my time in a chair?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. In the last 25 years or so, I've seen huge strides in the city of Quesnel itself as far as curb cuts go, businesses that have automatic doors, and just awareness in general. When I was first injured, I had a hard time even getting into some stores because there was lots of clutter in the aisleways, and that made it difficult to get around in the store. And that I've seen huge improvements in that. Accessible washrooms is another area where I think we've made some great strides. So I've seen a lot of positive changes. We still have a ways to go, but I've seen a lot of good changes in our city in the last 25 years.
And in your work as seniors advocacy, I guess there's a lot of people that have challenges in terms of being included. Physical problems, but also other kinds of problems too, Susan, that you try to help to get people to be included?
That's true, Nate, and what we see sometimes is folks come to us and they may not have what we call a visual mobility restriction or a visible accessible issue. Some things are not seen, and so those are also barriers that we need to overcome, and those could be classified in some things like banking, literacy issues. Those are all accessible issues.
And our city has done some things in terms of a report that was done a few years ago where they point out that there were major gaps in terms of inclusion that people could have a hard time overcoming, and certain specific things have been done. I talked to Diane Rogers before our meeting here. She's the manager at the rec center, and she talked about a few things that they have done in terms of physical stuff, and for example, the curling club, the door on that has become accessible, and now there's a curling program too. Yep. And you're in that.
I am. I'm a little bit of a curler, Nate.
As we've said that for quite a few. We reported on our star curler here many times, and we will continue because you've been all over, just recently to Thunder Bay and stuff like that. And so how would you rate our curling club in terms of accessibility? So maybe there's some things we need to get.
It's great that they've put in the automatic doors at the curling club. It's definitely a step forward. I think Dave Plant, the manager at the curling club, I think one of the next steps is going to be an accessible washroom. That makes it a little bit difficult. I have to make sure that I time things correctly when I am going curling so that I won't have to use the washrooms there, because unfortunately they don't have an accessible washroom. Also, the lounge is upstairs, so I think after the washrooms, which will be a priority, possibly they'll look at maybe some way of getting wheelchair athletes up to the lounge to be able to socialize and be included after the game as well. So,
but the sheets themselves, you're able to get up to
the sheets are great. They have a little bit of a ramp that we can roll down right onto the ice that they put out for us, and that's comparable to a lot of the other clubs that I've played at. A couple of the clubs, I think Kelowna did, Richmond, and Thunder Bay also have elevators up to the lounge. They did a lot of fundraising to be able to afford to do that. And I don't know how realistic an elevator would be, you know, in town here, just being a bit of a smaller community. But I know there's always resources available, and there's always, you know, money that you can tap into here and there. So hopefully we'll make a few more strides getting the curling club a little more accessible too.
So there are definitely things that can be improved, and Diane gave me some more information about the improvements at the rec center, and we did a story about that about a year ago.
Yeah.
And so do you have goals in terms of seniors, for seniors, in terms of what we should be looking forward to in terms of accessibility in the future here?
Well, yes, Nate, actually one of the goals that we perceive or would like to achieve is to have all downtown businesses accessible for seniors. And by that I mean the doorways and the doors themselves either being narrower or the door physically being too heavy is sometimes a barrier for people to come in and out of. So what we would like to see is an actual doorbell system on each and every door in the downtown core, so that if someone who's having trouble, not just a senior perhaps, but anybody like a mom with a buggy or with small children or someone walking with a walker could actually push that button and a store person would come to the door and open that door for them. Okay. So that's just one of the things that we're trying to look for in the future.
And that sounds like it would be quite low cost too.
It is actually very low cost, yes.
Yeah.
A lot cheaper than putting in an automatic door. What a great idea.
Yeah. Yes.
I like that.
So there's some myths that I picked up on the website, on a website, and I'm going to see if you guys, I'm saying they're myths, so hopefully they are myths. If they're not, let me know. So we'll take some turns here. Okay. Here's myth one about disability. I'm pretty sure that someone with a disability is going to be absent more days than other employees. Alison, what do you think?
Oh, I think that's definitely a myth, Nate. I don't agree with that at all. I have worked on and off over my years in a chair, and I think because of stigmas like that about people with disabilities, I worked even harder to not be that person. And I think that a lot of people with disabilities, you know, sort of share that same idea. I don't agree with that at all.
And you know what? According to statistics, 86% of people with disabilities rated average or above average in terms of being at work on a regular basis. Okay. Are you ready for yours, Susan?
Okay.
Okay. Here's, it's going to be expensive to accommodate someone with a disability.
I totally believe that's a myth. Absolute myth. Accommodations for all different kinds of employment are made on a regular basis, and I feel that there's enough resources around that there's definitely capacity to accommodate each and every person who wishes to be working.
And we had the Measuring Up program, and there's other agencies that actually from time to time, as you were kind of alluding to a minute ago, provide funding for upgrades and things like that. And,
True.
And as I was reading about from Diane's work, some of the things the city has done. So
yes.
So it's not that big of a barrier, and we got a washroom put in here at Shaw, thanks to Shaw. Appreciate it. Yeah, and it was very low cost.
It was very low cost, very simple to do. I mean, it depends on the setup, of course, but yeah.
Okay, now here's something that has to do, maybe you could relate to this, or you could know other people that have physical disability issues. Would this be true that they would think, employers don't want to hire me because of my disability? Why bother applying? There aren't any jobs out there for me.
Oh, I think that's a total myth, Nate. And I think just being out in the community these days, we see a lot of people with disabilities that are employed in our community.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
but that's in the past, would you say, for the most part?
I think so. I mean, I guess there may still be people that feel that way. But I think for the most part, employers recognize these days that to hire someone with a disability is you know, you're telling the community that you're all inclusive. And I think that really looks good to a business, and I think a lot more employers are seeing that, and they are opening up those doors to people with disabilities, not just physical, but you know, psychological and that kind of stuff.
And the other
too.
unseen disabilities. Yeah.
That's right,
Yeah.
hidden type disabilities. Yeah.
Okay, here's the last myth.
Okay.
Someone will always have to help employees with disabilities to do their job correctly.
A total myth. A total myth. Employers have to help all employees get to and achieve achieve at a point where they're doing their job correctly. So I don't believe that that's any different for anybody that has a disability, whether seen or unseen. So I think it's an employer's obligation to help employees of whatever to be able to reach their full potential to do their jobs.
And chances are, if you don't have the qualifications to do the job, you wouldn't have been hired for the position in the first place. So the qualification part of it,
yes,
you know, I mean, obviously you're qualified to do the job. So,
yep, I agree.
Okay, so we debunked those myths pretty rapidly. Very good work, ladies. What we want to do, though, is invite people to drop by the farmers market on June 16th.
Yep.
Because the city is going to have a little booth there to talk about some of the things that have been done, and you could see what has happened, but you could also kind of maybe give some suggestions on what should be happening in the future. They have a plan, they've done some good things, but what's the next step? So let me finish by asking both of you, what do you see in the future in terms of being a totally inclusive community?
Well, a community with no barriers.
Exactly.
Barrier-free.
Simply put, yes, a barrier-free community.
Yeah.
I always joke with people, Nate, now of course this is not how I truly feel, but I always joke with people because of my particular mobility disability, pave the world, and I would be happy. Please.
Come to my house, pave the driveway.
Pave the world. That's one of my favorite
sayings. Bring down the mountains,
so now you've heard it.
That's right. Okay. Well, thanks very much for being on this little segment. We're going to head over to the other newsroom, the other set. Thanks for being with us, Susan.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks, Alison.
Okay.
See you soon.
Okay, we'll be right back.
All right, thanks to Susan for coming in and doing that with us. I thought that was
it was
great.
really good, and thanks very much for sharing your personal experiences with us.
No problem. You know, anything to raise awareness, Nate, that really is what it's about. And I think I did mention, I mean, over my course of being in a chair, I've seen a lot of positive changes.
Good.
So
that's good.
You know,
great.
We'll see that continue.
Right.
So that is it for today's show. If you would like to give us any feedback on any news that you think we should be covering here at Q Today, you can contact us by email at qtoday@qcatv.ca. And if you would like to be a sponsor or volunteer, you can contact our friend Nate here at 992-3650, or you can call the Shaw Station and talk to John McKenzie at 992-8363.
And we're on Facebook right now, so you can watch our show on Shaw TV, or you could watch it on qcatv.ca, or you could watch it on facebook.com/Q Today, big Q, big T, all one word. And so we're getting out there.
We are, you bet. Now remember, our show Q Today, it is produced by QMAG, which is the Quesnel Media Access Group. And we'd like to thank you for watching, and just remember that our purpose here at Q Today is to get Quesnel talking.
Bye for now.